Okay, so before anybody comes at me in the comments saying that my viewpoints on this series are just coming from a completely ludicrous sense of bias, let me reiterate that I am a critic, and I'm trying to look at things as fairly as humanly possible. This is coming from one of the biggest MCU fans you will find here on this medium, so I was very, very excited for this series. And, you know, it's... She-Hulk Attorney at Law is now completely on Disney+. It's available for you to stream at any time if you're a subscriber. And it stars Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer Walters. Walters is a lawyer specializing in cases involving, who else? Superhumans. You know, superhumans like the returning Abomination, who's once again played by Tim Roth. But on a camping trip with her cousin Bruce Banner, who's once again played by Mark Ruffalo, she is involved in a car accident and she accidentally gets her cousin's blood injected into her somehow in this whole ordeal, and she becomes the green superhero who's dubbed by the public as She-Hulk. And let's just say she's not fully comfortable with it. And she'll be sure to let the audience in on that. Now that to me, guys, as someone who loves meta-theatrical humor, as someone who loves products that really break that fourth wall, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the original Deadpool movie, She-Hulk should have been right up my alley humor-wise. And one big positive that I can take away from She-Hulk from the get-go is the casting of Tatiana Maslany. She is an incredible discovery and revelation as Jennifer Walters. I think she does a brilliant job with the material she's given. And I love the fact that she's selling how silly her whole situation is. And honestly, I love how welcoming she is to the audience. She is really letting them in on the joke. There are many times where she will stop the action and she will turn to look at us and tell us, okay, this sounds like something typical that you'd see in a TV show like this. You know, she'd say stuff like that. And honestly, I think that helps make her character super endearing in the long haul. I love all of these returning actors. I thought Tim Roth was absolutely hilarious in this series. He's kind of like your multiple identity patient who's been holed up in this prison for all the damage he's caused. And I don't want to get too deep into spoilers about everything, but Walters is basically assigned to the Abomination's case, which is definitely going to lead to some family drama with her cousin Bruce Banner. And that dynamic I thought had a lot of potential. Notice how I say it had a lot of potential, because honestly, they don't cover the Abomination as much as you would expect. Better yet, as much as they advertise. While I'm on the subject, gotta love Mark Ruffalo in this series once again, being the Dr. Hulk. I love his chemistry with Tatiana Maslany. I absolutely adored the premiere. I love the fact that he's training his cousin. His cousin does not want to be a Hulk, and that leads to some friction there. And that in turn leads to a very compelling premiere, which I think is easily one of this series' strongest episodes by far. And speaking of strongest episodes, oh man, guys, let's talk about Daredevil. Let's talk about Daredevil. Let's just get to it. Now, this appearance was something I was highly anticipating. And yes, this is not a spoiler because you see Daredevil clear as day in the trailer for this. He is once again played by Charlie Cox as he is in the Netflix series, which if you haven't checked out, you absolutely should because it's freaking phenomenal. And Charlie Cox... oh man, I'm so happy to say Charlie Cox was awesome. And he doesn't just get one scene like you saw of him in No Way Home. He's in a good chunk of these final 2 episodes. And I love the banter that he shares with She-Hulk. I love their chemistry. I love when they go out to fight crime together. I love that Daredevil is like the macho leader here. I love the court case where they're going up against each other. Daredevil is basically defending his costumer, who also happens to be She-Hulk's costumer. And that leads to a very fun sequence in the courthouse as well. And guys, oh man, just seeing Charlie Cox in this role again, kicking so much ass, made me so incredibly happy. I cannot wait to see Born Again. I cannot wait to see where else his character lands, perhaps in Echo. Finally, the forbidden door, figuratively, is open. Now, you notice how I say a lot of these returning actors are great. Tatiana Maslany is freaking awesome. And I wish the show carried a lot more consistency. My big issue with She-Hulk is ultimately the writing. Now, as I previously mentioned, the premiere of She-Hulk, awesome. The next 2 episodes were really fun. But then there's just this gigantic drop-off of egregious repetitiveness. That is until Daredevil shows up in episode 8. And yeah, a lot of She-Hulk haters will liken this to when the Mandalorian showed up in the Book of Boba Fett halfway through. Because they were so happy to see the Mandalorian come in because everybody was so bored by Book of Boba Fett. I certainly was. Not to say I was bored by She-Hulk or anything like that. I was certainly entertained by Jennifer Walters and her breaking the fourth wall constantly. And the whole premise of She-Hulk, I absolutely have no issue with it. I love the fact that this show is centered around a very, very strong female character who's just trying to find her place in this whole thing. But that will come at a cost, and unfortunately, this whole storyline with her setting up a dating profile is very, very important to the finale. But man, I could only see her go on so many dates with so many different guys for so long. Like, my word. Now, I get it. That can be real life for a lot of people. But if you're watching a TV show week by week, let me give you an example. My buddy Zack over here on the Medium, who you should absolutely check out. I was just on his channel last week. He was hyping up She-Hulk out the wazoo. Like, I cannot think of another single creator on this medium who was more hyped for She-Hulk than Mr. Milne himself. All due respect to everyone else, of course. I'm sure there were a lot of other people really, really excited for this. But even he was watching this show week by week, and he just told me, look, Zack, I can't really do it anymore. It's just too repetitive. Point being, I could see that he was growing tired of the series. And a lot of people were. Now, there are a lot of friends in my personal life who I know love this series and they can't get enough of it. Bravo to you, that's totally fine. But me personally, I was just sitting there and like, I can only sit through her swiping left on these for so long. And while I'm at it, might as well address this. I mentioned that I really adore the premise of She-Hulk and that a strong woman as your focal point, great. Absolutely awesome. But then at its own expense, every other male character, if it's not the Hulk or Daredevil or Abomination or Wong, they come off as either a idiot, a coward, or an asshole. Now, if this sounds familiar to anybody, this sounds exactly like a similar problem that people have had with Ghostbusters 2016, which was centered around an all-female team of Ghostbusters. And there were a lot of people out there who were like, oh, that's women, give them a chance, you know? And I did. I just didn't think that movie was all that funny. I think She-Hulk has a similar issue in that regard in terms of writing other likable male characters. Also, dare I say, Titania in this series, awful. So annoying. Some people might be looking at me thinking, okay, I get it, yeah, you're not supposed to like her, so she was doing her job right. There's a difference between making your character unlikable in the sense of being a true villain, and between being completely go-away heat. Like, every time she turned up and just started talking, and like that whole episode where she steals the She-Hulk patent, like, insufferable. But I will say the final 2 episodes definitely make up for the meandering middle part of the series. The finale in particular is very, very insane. Like, I was sitting there thinking, what the is going on? But it absolutely fit the mood of the show. It absolutely fit the breaking the fourth wall trope, I would say. I mean, I don't even know if it's even a trope. I've never seen the fourth wall broken quite like this before. You just have to see it to believe it, guys. But She-Hulk, I think, is hit or miss for me. I definitely really appreciated how the show bookended itself. The first couple of episodes were really fun. The final 2 episodes were just as fun. But then there's that part in the middle that I could have cut out and probably would have been a lot better. I'm going to go ahead and give She-Hulk Attorney at Law a C+. One last thought for the class while I'm at it. If you trim out that middle part, wouldn't you just be happy putting this in theaters? Like, I feel like She-Hulk as a movie could have made a lot of money. But I get it, it might have been a studio thing. Someone else might hold the rights to the Hulk name. But let me know what you guys thought of She-Hulk down in the comments section below. Did you love this show way more than I did? I would love to hear all of those thoughts and then some. What your favorite episode was, all down there in the nifty comments section below. If you're a new viewer, do consider becoming a channel subscriber. Hit that notification bell right next door. So that way from this point on, you don't miss a second more of the action, because you're certainly not going to want to miss any new videos over here, especially over this Halloween season. I've got a very spooktacular Halloween special that I'm planning on following through on till the end of the month. And, of course, I'm going to be looking at all the new releases going forward through the end of the year and beyond. I'm very excited to check out Black Adam next weekend because I'm hearing some rave reviews on that already. So if you're new, one more reminder, subscribe to the channel. Hit that thumbs up on your way out as well. That would be a humongous favor. Guys, you're the best. Thank you all so very much again for tuning in. And with all that being said, back talk, commence!